Hey, hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going on a service call in Amagansett, New York on a model 632. I put a freezer compressor in the other day and the customer called me back the next day and said it wasn't working right. It had a thermometer in there and they said it was about 20 to 25 degrees. Now when I left the job the other day, I told the customer I wasn't completely confident that it was going to work because it was running in a 5 inches in the vacuum, which I think is too low. So I let it run overnight. Obviously it didn't work. He called me back, so we're going to go back and we're going to pressurize it. We're going to remove the refrigerant, pressurize it, and then check for leaks just in case. And we'll check the head pressure too while we're at it, so we have more data to deal with here. All right, so it's about a 32-minute ride. I'm not going to let you listen to me talk for that whole remainder, but I will see you when we get there. Okay, so I got my low side gauge on, and now I'm going to check the head pressure, the high side pressure, see what's going on with the system. The compressor is running, so let's get to it. Okay, looks like the head pressure is lower than normal. Okay, here I'm checking to see how much refrigerant this system takes. It's 7 ounces of 134A, and that's what I put in before. Okay, so I'm going to shut the unit down. And I'm going to hook up my recovery system with my charging column there, and I'm going to pull out whatever remaining freon is in there, refrigerant is in there. Okay, so now the recovery system is down to around minus 10 or 15 inches in the vacuum, and that means I can turn it off and disconnect. Okay, it looks like I only pulled out a couple of ounces, and that tells me we either have a leak or we undercharged it. Okay, so I repressurized it with nitrogen, and I'm checking for leaks just to be safe. I did it before, but I'm doing it again.
Well, I don't see any leaks.
So here I'm releasing the nitrogen gas because we're going to do some sweating. I'm cutting the capillary tube right now. I want to check the capillary tube while the system is still under pressure so I can see if the capillary tube is clear and if there's any nitrogen coming out of the filter dryer. So I'm taking out the capillary tube that I cut. And I'm hooking up my nitrogen tank again. I'm going to shoot some nitrogen through the system to see if it's coming out of the dryer and also the capillary tube.
Sure, I don't need that. No.
I can feel it there. I can feel it coming out strongly from the capillary tube. So that eliminates the fact that the cap tube or the heat exchanger is bad. So now I'm not getting anything out of the dryer because the tip of the dryer is soldered shut. And I don't know if that happened when I took the capillary out of the dryer or if it was too much solder in there to begin with. I don't know. So I'm going to heat it while it's under pressure to clear the filter dryer. And you're not going to hear the blast of nitrogen that came out of there because I had to record over the sound. But you'll see a discoloration there, that green right there, that's the nitrogen coming out. So the filter dryer is clear, but still, because there's so much solder in the tip of it, I'm just going to take it out, and change it, and put another dryer in there. Just makes it a lot cleaner job. All right. So now I'm prepping the capillary tube. I'm scoring it, and then I'm going to break it off with my tool there, and then check it to make sure that it's not crimped in any way. You've got to make sure you can see that opening, and then I'll check it again with the light just to double check to make sure there's not any restrictions in that tube. So now I'm preparing a new filter dryer. I'm going to swage out the filter dryer there with a 3/16 swaging tool. Because we're dealing with 3/16 line, I'm taking out the Schrader pin there. We don't want that to melt. Cleaning up the copper tubing and the capillary tube. I'm pushing it in about an inch and making a bend so I don't push it in too far. That's a good practice to get into because there's a screen in there. Now I'm going to put some flux on. And then we're going to sweat this thing in. Clean the dryer inside. Seal it up. Okay, I'm using a wet towel there to cool down the filter dryer and harden the solder, putting the Schrader pin back in. Once it cools down, pressurizing again with nitrogen, and then we're going to check for leaks again. Okay, compressor's on. We're doing a sweep charge. We're empty system. We're down to about 26 inches in a vacuum, and we've got 7 ounces of R134A in that charging column that we weighed in, and so now we're just going to shoot it in. I'm going to purge out the air in the hose once we crack that right there. Okay, that purges out the air, and now we have our valve is open and the refrigerant is going into the system. I'm using a heat gun here to raise the pressure, the temperature, to force the vapor into the system. And usually you'll see your low side gauge will start to go down when it's empty, if you have a charging column. And right there, this looks like the back pressure is a little under 10. I'm happy with that at the moment. And that's eventually pulled down to about 5 psi. So here, let's do a recap of what we did today. We went on a service call on a 632 freezer compressor, which we installed the other day, and the customer complained it wasn't working, so we went back and we had to find out what was going on. It didn't have a leak. In the long of it, I think I just undercharged it. Maybe something wrong with my column or something, because it just had all the appearances of a leak, but it only pulled out 2 ounces of gas. So hopefully we got it, and I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you on the next one.